What's up, everyone? Welcome to Live Dangerous, where we help educate and equip you to better champion faith and freedom every day. Today, we have a special guest with us. It's kind of crazy to have him here, but he's the founder of Patriot Academy and does a billion other things I don't know about. But this is Rick Green. How you doing?
I'm not wearing the right. I should have my hat I had on last night that said I'm feeling dangerous.
Yeah,
that would have been perfect for this podcast. Wow. Anyway, we're in a dangerous room, though, the Abraham Lincoln Committee. Your committee. You're going to be chairing this committee, right?
Yes, yep, that is correct. Yeah, it's an awesome man, an awesome legacy to uphold.
Yeah, good
awesome
stuff. So glad y'all are here for, let's see now, Patriot Academy for y'all, this is second or third time?
This would be my fifth PA, my second year.
Second year,
Yes.
So that's why you don't have the red tag yet.
Correct.
That's what I was trying to think. I know you've done a bunch of the regionals, right? And
yeah,
you?
and second year, but third academy.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
Cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be here at PA with Rick Green and all of these other incredible people. One of the things that I wanted to ask you is, like, what does this mean to you? Having this, it's taken so many years and so much time and effort. What is the ultimate thing that you have gotten out of this?
Man, you're gonna make me cry because I'm really so overwhelmed right now. I'm literally, I feel it's just surreal. The last 48 hours is just, I feel like I'm walking in a dream because it's been, this is 2 decades of dreaming of having our own place like this. And so having done them all over the country and state capitals and just, we love doing that and we'll keep doing that, but to have our home base and for y'all to be here on the Patriot Academy campus and to have that house chamber out there and even these committee rooms, it's just, I guess part of why I get so emotional about it is because, like my wife Kara always says, it's not about the buildings, but it's what we know is going to happen in these rooms and in this building. And we know the lives that are going to be changed. We know what it means to you guys to be able to come here and meet other young people and find out you're not alone, And I went to a conservative student conference when I was 19 in DC, and it was nothing like this in terms of legislative process and all that kind of stuff. But just to meet other young people. See, I'm throwing myself in there like I'm a young person. But to meet other young people, I just came home fired up. It just changed my whole perspective on everything. So that's why we get emotional about it, because I know personally the impact it'll have for you guys and the friends you're going to meet, and maybe even a special lady at some point. So, anyway, it's pretty cool, man. We're ask me in another week, maybe I'll be able to articulate it better. But right now, I'm just in a fog. It's just like, wow.
Yeah. Well, definitely, you guys. The whole name behind this was something that we were encouraged to do from from what you guys did. Even for me, I just did the Constitution Coach, Constitutional Alive as my history schoolwork since I was homeschooled. And then I was like, oh, well, this is good stuff. And my grandparents were like, hey, you should go to Patriot Academy. And then, now I am where I am, and I love it. But two, it's inspired me to actually make a difference. And it's equipped me and, encouraged us to, kind of ignite, like helped flame that fan that flame. Yeah.
One of those.
Either way.
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah. But to, for us to do like this show and stuff and be able to also go into our communities and make a difference, you guys really do educate and equip and not just show us how to do it, but the hands-on training is what really makes a difference here. And you guys have an absolutely amazing program.
Well, there's no substitute for like you said, hands-on. Actually doing, sitting in a classroom and just listening to lectures all day long, I'd be bored to death. I hated that stuff. And so when you sit on the real floor and you get up at the microphone and you have to, defend what you believe or what you're fighting for that day. And even doing this podcast, you guys actually having to learn how all that goes into making that happen. And then, to get on camera and to do this, it's a big deal, right? And you will learn far more doing this than any book you're going to read or any class you're going to take. There's just something, and I'm not saying those things aren't important, but there's no substitute for actually doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much for being our first test subject on this podcast. But
I'm your guinea pig. I like the movie Tombstone. I'm your Huckleberry. I'll be Doc Holliday for y'all.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah. And here at Patriot Academy and the Leadership Congress and everything you've promoted, it teaches people values. It teaches people ways to live their life. I mean, here you learn confidence, you learn courage, commitment, competence, and all of that you're doing. And what is the value that you think is most missing in this generation? A value that our generation, Gen Z, really needs to have?
All of those things you just mentioned are hard. It's hard to rank them at this point because, you have to have the courage. Otherwise, if you get the competence and you get all the confidence and all that, but you don't have the courage to actually step out in a culture that, you're hearing all these negative things, and you might think, well, they don't want this. They don't want truth. They don't want right and wrong. The truth is, deep down, they do. They're especially your generation. They're tired of the slippery slope, the sinking sand. I mean, it's just they're looking for something solid to stand on. But it feels like they don't want it, and so it takes courage to be able to go stand for it. But courage alone is not enough because you can be, we call it being ignorance on fire, right? You're all excited and you want to do it, but you don't have the competence yet to do it well. Well, that's okay. Sloppy success is better than perfect nothing, right? We say that all the time. So you got to have the courage, but then you got to build that competence as well so that you can win the day. So it's all of those things you mentioned, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So what is something you would say for my generation, one of the most important principles, I guess, from a historical viewpoint that we should keep applying? Like, what's one of the main timeless truths that my generation or all generations, just for modern day, should still be applied, should still be upheld, from even a historical viewpoint with historical proof that that's something that works?
Yeah. I think right now in this culture, the one that's been lost, the principle is that freedom comes with responsibility. Everybody loves to talk about their rights. We got to start talking about the corresponding responsibility that comes with that, because it's easy to march and say, I have a right to do this, or I want this, and there's a selfishness in that if you're only focused on getting that right. But there's a selfless motive whenever you say there's a responsibility that comes with it. Why do I have the right to freedom of speech? Well, it's so that I can speak truth, so that I can serve my fellow man, so that I can educate. Why do I have the freedom to keep and bear arms? It's so that I can protect the innocent. It's not just so I can go show off a weapon or whatever it might be. So just that principle of with every right is a responsibility. With every freedom there's a responsibility, I'd say is one of the things that if we can teach that, a lot of the other stuff downstream from that will work. And back to your previous question, though, I do want to say on courage and competence and all those things, every one of those things can be learned. Right? There's even courage, it takes practice. If you exercise some courage, then you start getting more of it. It's one of those things you don't spend it, right? It literally recreates itself more and more. You get more bold, and you become better at stepping out with courage. And same thing with competence and everything else. I'm ignorant about a lot of things, but ignorance is curable, right? We can learn in those areas where we have gaps, and we all have gaps. So I would just add another principle is constant and never-ending improvement. Just always trying to get better. Always, Colossians 3:23 says that we're to do everything we can, the best that we can, as unto God, not unto men. Well, in order to do everything that we do, the best that we can, we got to be improving. We got to constantly be working to get better at it.
Right. Yeah, it's so good. And I was talking to the speaker, Chris Dunham, earlier, and he was saying that without confidence, you also need competence. To have true confidence, first you have to have it in God, not in man. But to have confidence, you have to have competence to accomplish that confidence.
That's
you
right.
have to have a will and a skill.
And even because think about it, confidence without that is just arrogance. It's actually hubris. It's just fake. It's I'm pounding my chest almost out of an insecurity because I don't have the confidence. So when you see somebody that's really cocky and really just trying to push everybody around or whatever, usually a bully is really not. It's because they don't have a sense of purpose and a sense of self. So out of insecurity, they act like that. But when you have competence, that confidence is very different than the arrogance. And again, it can be learned. It absolutely can be whatever the skill is, right? We cover a lot here this week at Patriot Academy, whether it's speaking or just knowledge about a particular issue or whatever it is. You can gain that competence. But he's exactly right. If you're trying to project confidence without any competence, and people sometimes they'll say fake it till you make it, and I used to even kind of say that a little bit, and there is a sense of getting out there, but it's not faking it. It's actually a humility to say, hey, I'm not perfect yet. I tell our Constitution coaches all the time, when you get up in front of a group and say we're going to learn the Constitution, start by saying I don't have all the answers. I mean, I'm America's Constitution coach. Every class I do, I get up and say, you're going to stump me with a question that I don't know the answer to, and I'm going to go do that for homework. If we all kind of start with that, then that competence will grow, and along with it will come that confidence.
Yeah, so good,
so good. Yeah, I think and that's something you guys really help train us to do, is to kind of step out of our comfort zone here.
Yeah.
And get up to like, I had to convince my younger sister, like, it'll be okay. My dad was like, who cares what they think? If you mess up, you mess up. But the thing is like you were saying, like, confidence ultimately, like, it comes from God, right? You have to have your confidence in God. My grandpa, he was like, I think it's kind of it's hard not to be cocky when you're a Christian, because really, when you understand
but see, that's based on identity, though, because your identity's in Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
So of course, you should, and actually the Bible says not to think more highly of yourself than you ought, but to think soberly, right? So it's a lot of times Christians have this fake humility. It's like, I have to be, meekness is weakness. That's what we tend to think. And so I have to, and that's not right. I mean, meekness is strength under control. And so what we try to get everybody to do is think soberly. Now, don't think higher than you ought, right? So don't be arrogant or try to do something more than what God's called you to, but think soberly. What's God gifted me with? What am I good at? What has He given me a desire to do? Even if you're not good at it yet, has He given you a desire to, be a speaker or to run for office or to start a business or to start a family or whatever? Well, if He's put that desire in your heart, think soberly about that and go, okay, well then how do I get good at it? Who do I know that does that really well?
Right.
And I'm going to go model that person. I'm going to go learn from them if I can. If I can get in touch with them and get them to mentor me, great. If not, I'm just going to follow what they do. And like, I think Elon Musk is a brilliant businessman. Right now, I don't want to model him spiritually yet. I think he's the Lord's after him, I think. But I want to watch what he does in business and go, man, how does this guy do all these different things? So I'm trying to juggle all these plates. What can I learn from him? And there's always a way to, and not just people that are successful in that way. You can learn from anybody. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I
had to do a really good podcast,
Yeah,
somebody else.
It's so true. Yeah. All right. Something I ask every person I meet is, what is your greatest piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Wow, that's tough. That is tough. Let's see. Great.
Besides Jesus and the Bible, like, I'm gonna give you a Jesus sticker.
No cop out with a Jesus sticker.
Because we get that's the greatest piece of advice.
Right. Yeah.
I put you on the spot.
This is what actually comes to mind.
Yeah.
Is literally my dad saying to me about Kara, my wife, when we were just dating, and I wasn't sure I was ready to get married, and my dad pulling me aside and saying, that girl can handle your life, and if you mess up and let her go, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life.
Wow.
And just basically giving me a swift kick in the rear to say it's time to move into that next level of life. It's time to move into that next chapter. And because we do it was basically his way of saying, the scripture about putting away childish things, right? And it's time to become a man. It's time to go take these big steps and who was it today? Well, Walker Wildman, when he was talking about, that's, hey, go out there and get married, and then even the governor in his State of the Academy speech saying, marry your fiance, let's go. Anyway, so I mean that comes to mind because there's so many. My dad's my best friend, my mentor, and so there's so many examples, there's so many things I could give you from him that would be more applicable to everybody else. Yeah. But for me, that was such a turning point in my life. I mean, it was really like, okay, it's time for me to grow up. It's time to put away childish things. It's time to take on the responsibility.
And it wasn't just like like you were. It was almost like it's time for me to, like you're saying, move on. When I move into that state of a relationship, it is moving on from a certain part of life, which is a younger part of life, a less mature part, to a more selfish
part. When you're younger, right? You're more focused on yourself.
You now have to give more.
You're not responsible for anybody else.
Like when you're living younger, it's great to be a little more focused on yourself. Within, I need to improve myself. So I'm not worthy, but I'm ready to have someone else in my life ready.
Creating in you what that person that you're going to be attracted to is going to be attracted to, right? Like a lot of times with young people, it's like, why haven't I met that person yet? Well, what are you doing to make sure that you're the person that they're looking for? Because hopefully you have high standards of what you want, and because it's going to be the second most important decision that you make in your life. And so making sure you have a high standard, but at the same time, to get that gal that has that high standard, you've got to be that person that she's looking for too, right? So it is a
Yeah.
selfish time in a way,
Yeah.
because you're pouring into yourself and
Yeah.
investing in yourself to be ready for that next phase.
Yeah, so good.
I don't know how we got off
awesome.
of marriage advice here, but no, it's fiance advice.
Yeah. Hey, we're at the age, Gen Z, I'm telling you. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to talk to us and give the advice that we're hoping to share. Thank you so much, Rick Green.
Anytime.
Thanks so much for putting Patriot Academy on. If you haven't come to Patriot Academy, find a regional, go to nationals. We're here. It is epic. It's worth it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Hey, enjoyed it, man.
Thank you. And,
well done.
And know that, man, you really are a turning point for our generation.
Awesome.
You're the reason I do anything that I'm doing.
Man.
And yeah, you definitely are. You're somebody who's really definitely fighting for the heart and the soul of the country, and you're actually making a difference. So just know that you have had an impact, and it's one of those things, it's exponential growth.
Yeah.
And so everything that we can do and everyone we touch know is because of you.
Oh man,
So,
well, you guys are the
thank you so
reason I
much.
have hope, right? I mean, the fact that you've been willing to step up and accept the torch and now go out there and fight for it. That's why, like I said earlier, I mean, Kara and I both are just so emotional because we know what this means. And the best part is if I get hit by a truck tomorrow, this thing's ready and y'all can take it.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah,
Bless you guys.
awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you.